Oh, oh. My friends, you're already here. Welcome to Dr. Earth's lab. Mary, have you read the book I suggested? Good. Kim, how did you do on your physics exam? Good to see you anyway. Today I have something big for you. You see today's subject? That's right, red clay. It's a sediment with red and orange tones. Through some pictures. The scientific name for red clay is lus. It's composed of sand, clay, volcanic ash, rocks broken down by the wind, all kinds of sediments deposited by wind. Is it rare? Not at all. The Asian continent, which is the largest of all continents, is full of red clay. Slow down. We actually have two subjects today. Red clay and the country that made the most creative use of it. And that country is... here it is. Right. Korea. Friends, slow down. I'll tell you why it's Korea. What would you do if you get red clay on your clothes? You brush it off. Of course. What if it gets on your face or hands? Yes, Carrie, you probably wash it right off. We even brush off the dirt that gets on our shoes. But you know, in Korea, they use red clay in everything. Houses, clothing, food, even cosmetics and medicine. Let's move right on to the first video I've prepared for you. This is not an experiment. It's called a hwangto room, or a red clay room. It's very popular in Korea. People go into these hot rooms to sweat. Listen closely. What heats up the room is called ondo. It's a traditional heating method in Korea. Large stones underneath the floor are heated, which makes the room warm. But the important feature of this room isn't the floor, but the walls. Look, the walls are all reddish, right? This is red clay.
남들 보기엔 되게 덥게 보이는데 저는 이 땀을 쫙 흘려야지 몸이 가뿐하고 개운해져 좋아요.
황토 사우나를 하고 나면은 몸이 더 개운해지는 것 같아요.
Okay, fine. I'll present you some historical data to help you understand. Let's see. Here it is. King Sejong the Great, one of the finest kings of Korean history. Science, music, literature, you name it. He was pretty much like Galileo. But alas, he was not a healthy man. He had so much work that he hardly got any sleep. Since he didn't get any time to rest, he had to find ways to maintain his health during the day. So King Sejong built a red clay room inside the palace. When he found that he became healthier thanks to the red clay room, he built red clay clinics for the people and sent doctors there to help treat patients with high blood pressure and skin diseases. We're just in luck. There's a professor who made an interesting experiment on this. He conducted a very interesting experiment on this subject matter.
콘크리트와 황토로 각각 간이집을 짓고 건강한 실험용 쥐들을 사육을 했습니다.
The results were astonishing. The mice in the red clay house showed an average of 50% growth, while the mice in the concrete model house did not grow at all. And that's not all. 20% of the males and 100% of the females in the concrete house died. There's another experiment.
황토와 콘크리트 집 사이에 통로를 만들어서 쥐들이 어느 집으로 가는지 선택하도록 했습니다.
The choice of the mice was clear. 70% of the mice moved to the red clay house, and only 28% remained in the concrete house. The simple difference is in the acidity. Concrete is a strong alkaline matter with a pH level of 12.5 and will harm the skin upon direct contact. The pH level of red clay is between 8.5 and 9.5, which is nearly neutral and not harmful to the human body. But that's not all. Red clay also contains substances that remove harmful elements in the body. For example, it contains an active enzyme called catalase. Catalase decomposes radical oxygen and lipoperoxide, which promote aging. Very good, Mary. As a reward, I'll show you an interesting picture. Ruin the clothes? Nonsense. This is how people dye clothes with red clay. It's a traditional method in Korea. In Korea, red clay products are very popular because it's believed to help treat atopic symptoms. Red clay soap, face mask, blankets, and clothes. Red clay is a strong disinfectant and detoxifier. Most importantly, it emits far infrared radiation. Far infrared radiation has a similar wavelength to that of molecular vibration in our body. So it helps blood circulation and cell regeneration in our body. You're right. Look, this is red clay. This has been sitting in water for several days. The soil has sunk to the bottom, but there are still thousands of microorganisms in the water. This water is called jijangsu in Korea. Do you remember how I told you that people also eat red clay in Korea? I wasn't kidding. This water, which comes from the red clay, is the best of the best when it comes to mineral water. I think the real question is, does it taste good? Delicious. I don't really need to explain the effects of jijangsu. I conducted some experiments and the results speak for themselves. I put some grapes, kiwi and egg yolk into cups of jijangsu and regular water. After 3 days, take a look. The fruits and egg yolk in the jijangsu look like they've just been dropped in. The water is clear too. In the other water, the grape is rotten. The kiwi has melted and no yolk. As for the water, that's quite bad. Look at these pictures. In Korea, they sprinkle red clay into the ocean to eliminate red tide. They also use red clay instead of preservatives in fish farms to prevent or treat illnesses. It's a great example of eco-friendly science. They expressed it in a different way. But the people of Joseon were well aware of red clay. They were quite scientific, I might add. These medical books were all written during the Joseon period. And they all carry extensive explanations on how red clay helps treat illnesses. It's simply amazing. Great question, Mary. That has to do with the traditional philosophy of Koreans. Korean culture has long sought for answers to life in nature. Rather than changing nature, Koreans have tried to become one with it. They really believe that being part of nature is the best way of life. A culture which circulates like nature without wasting or overusing anything, that kind of culture is where the wisdom to utilize red clay comes from.